Hi, I wanted to talk about my favorite stationery items that I use, which I would consider as essentials to my daily journaling routine. And I've been using these products for a few years now, and I still love them so much that I would absolutely repurchase. And that's why I consider them my favorite, like my favorite items. I also feel like I couldn't journal without some of these products, or rather I would lose interest in the hobby without these items. I'm also going to discuss things that I may not love about every single product, even though I do overall enjoy using them. There are certain things that just don't on my preference, and I've had to make a workaround in order for the product to work for me. Hopefully you find this helpful, and it will provide a bit more of an insight on how some of these products not only last years, but how they've performed after years of use, and just my thoughts on journaling. Also, just a disclaimer, these items are not essential for anybody. You don't need any of these products that I'll mention in this video in order to practice the act of journaling. This is purely intended on sharing my thoughts on the products that I do love and that I use every single day, to hopefully help somebody if they were uncertain about some of these products and whether they were looking at purchasing them but were hesitant, just to give a bit more insight on that before you make your purchase. Or if you wanted to change a system and you're still learning a bit about a different brand, that's basically what this video is intended for. It's not to say that you need certain brands in order to journal. You literally just need a notebook and a pen. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, I think to start off, I'm going to start off with Hobonichi. I don't consider the covers to be essential. I just have it here because I didn't want to take everything out of the cover and put things back. This is the Hobonichi A6, which I use as a memory keeper. It is essentially what I use to memory keep, and just go to blank random page. So yeah, this is just my planner. It's what I use. I won't go into too much detail about how I use it because I've already covered that in my how I use my A6 planner video, which I'll link for you if you're interested in like a more detailed explanation of everything. But essentially, the things that I like about the Hobonichi A6 is just the format. I like how the actual layout is divided into the checkbox on the top, grid space that is 3.7 millimeters, the invisible line. I like the monthly calendars and the yearly index, which I use to track my back pain. So the format is something that I enjoy, which is specific to this brand. And also just the size. I feel A6 is just enough space for me to write in without ever feeling overwhelmed, especially since I don't have a very active or busy daily lifestyle. I don't feel like I can't fill up the space on the paper in any way, or if I ever fall behind on journaling when I do play catch up as such, that I'm never overwhelmed because it's such a small space to write in. So I just prefer that. It works for me. Another thing that I like is the paper, which can also be a con, but I'll just explain why I like it first. It is smooth. Like, you do have a smooth feel to the paper, especially when you're writing. You don't get any feedback from the page as you would on any other type of paper. It's because of that smooth writing experience that it handles fountain pens really well. With that being said, I feel the Sanzen paper is absolutely hit and miss, which I'll explain in a moment. But what I do like about this paper over the original TRP is it absorbs the ink a lot faster, which, as somebody who tends to write really quickly, I'm not sitting around waiting for the ink to dry before I turn over the page. It is much faster than the absorption is just a little bit faster. So by the time I finish my writing, the ink is dry, I can turn over, and it's not going to smear on the other side. I also enjoy the fact that the entire year is in one book, so you can get the EVEC system, which splits the year up into two, like half of the year and then the other half of the year. But I just prefer having one book that represents the entire year of my life. So that's something I like. Now, things that I don't like I've mentioned, the inconsistency in the paper. As you're writing, you'll notice you can actually feel on one side of the page there is like this coating on the paper, but once you turn the page over and you write on the other side, there's a more toothiness to the paper. You don't feel that coating anymore, and the absorption is different. Where the paper has the coating, the line width is slightly thinner, but then on the other side where it's absorbing more ink, your writing is a little bit thicker, and I just don't like that look. It makes my handwriting look thicker and untidy, and I just don't prefer it. So that's something I don't like about this paper. I know recently people have been complaining about the books that they received. I have not yet tested my 2025 planner because I'm just terrified that I got the bad batch of paper, and if I did, I'm just not I will not be well. So I don't want to even think about that. That will be next year's problem. For now, I'm just going to use it, enjoy what I have. It's working for me, and hopefully I have good paper for next year. I also just don't really like the fact that there's a severe lack of customization with these products. Like, you are limited to the format, so that's understandable. You can put stickers and decorate your books, but even the covers, there's very little that you can do. Like, yes, you can fill in all the pockets and whatever, but there is very little you can do in terms of expressing your own individuality and creativity. Everybody ends up having the exact same cover, especially if it's a popular line. You'll just see the exact same cover everywhere else, and that's fine. I'm not saying these are not nice designs or anything like that. It's just you could get bored of it really quickly, especially if you are going on Instagram or on Reddit or wherever you go that has the stationery community in. You'll see your cover pop up and you just get bored of it over time. So yeah, that's something I don't tend to love about these, and that's why I don't consider the cover as an essential either, just because you can just use the book on its own, which is something that I did do for the most of this year. Didn't have a cover, I was just using the book on its own. The lack of customizability is something that I don't love about Hobonichi. Next, I will discuss Traveler's Company. I have both the passport size as well as the standard TN size, which is slightly larger. I think it's about that big. I don't have it here, it's packed away, but I prefer passport size. Again, similar to the Hobonichi A6, just the page, like the size of the pages. The space is just enough for me to write in without feeling overwhelmed. And this is important when I don't really have a lot of thoughts going on in my head at any given time. So I don't really have much to write on to get out and fill a page, in contrast to something like an A5 book, which is so much larger. I also enjoy the customizability of Traveler's Company. You can really make it your own. You can either choose different charms, you can add different elastics and change the colors. You can even, I've seen people put brass tags on the corner just to make it slightly different. Now, obviously, this is a limited release with the specific train motive on it, so in terms of customizing this, it is limiting. But the plain covers that Traveler's Company sells can really be customized. Either you can put in pins or patches, whatever you want. And even though everybody has access to buy the exact same product from the same range, you can still find ways to make it more unique to you, which is something I really like. Another thing is it's made of leather, so it's very durable and it will absolutely last you years, especially if you take care of the leather. And also, it's just such a simple design. It's basically just a leather cover with an elastic band that holds everything else. So it's just like it. It's just a blank canvas that you can do what you want with it. You can either use it as is to show the use over time with the patina. Obviously you can't see it with the black. If you had the camel or the brown throughout using your cover, you will see dents and scratches and everything, and that's very unique to you and your experience of the book. I personally try to keep this as neat and tidy as possible just because I like the look of this without being all battered and used. That's just me. You also can choose whatever inserts you want and move them around and again make it suited to you. So with my Hobonichi, because it is a year-long book, I'm not paging through the previous months on a daily basis. I page through it once in a while if I just want to look at the pages and recap on certain days just to joy the memory again. But a lot of the pages are basically you're carrying around something that's not being used, especially when you are writing. So currently, if I were to write in December, this is how thick the entire year is, and then on this side of the page you have to stick something underneath to lift it up. So yeah, you're just carrying a lot of unnecessary content that you may not use in your daily life. Whereas with your Traveler's Company, once you're done with the insert and you don't need it, you can just take it out of the book and either replace it with a brand new one or no longer include that many inserts in your book. So that's something I do enjoy about Traveler's Company. Things I don't like is it's not exactly a flat writing experience. Whereas the Hobonichi any Hobonichi book is made to have a 180 flat writing experience. You can turn the book in on itself and bend it around so that you do get a flat surface to write on. With the Traveler's Company, because of this metal clasp, when you open your book, it's raised slightly on that side, so it's uneven there, and then the back has this knot. So when you are writing on, so if you were to write here, for example, it is so uneven. I'll just take off the pen and I'll move this. So it's already so uneven. You can feel there's the knot there. So having it not be flat is definitely something that may deter you, or you just have to get used to it over time, which is something that I've made peace with. I also, at times, if I get really annoyed with it, I move this. Sometimes if I get annoyed with the knot while I'm writing, I'll just move it slightly higher, so that way it's not such, I mean, you'll still feel this elastic, but it's not as severe as this knot. So that's something you can do, but ultimately it will be there unless you remove it entirely, which I obviously can't because I have on charms, so they're not going to go through that hole. Yeah, that is something that you could do. Another solution would be to just remove the insert each time. So for example, if I wanted to write in this book, I could just remove the insert and then write on a flat surface like that. I feel that's just a bit too tedious, and to do that each time, especially if you have multiple inserts, it's just not feasible. So yeah, so now I just use it as it is, and over time it becomes less noticeable and irksome to me. There are some days where it is annoying, and then I will either remove it from the book or move the knot slightly to just make it a little bit more comfortable to write on. Another thing that I don't enjoy is the gold foiling, and I know this may just be something personal to me, but I just feel like Traveler's Company they're overdoing it with the gold foil. Absolutely everything they release has some element of gold foil on it, and if you look at the earlier releases of their products, it was just like pencil boards, for example, did not have any gold foil embellishments. Even their stickers, it was just plain, and they looked good. It's not like they look more high end because there's gold foil. Not at all. They still look good even before the gold foiling. So I kind of just wish that they would do away, or just not do as much gold foiling anymore, because over time, and these items are made to last you a significant amount of time, the gold foil starts to tarnish and it ends up looking really ugly. So I just don't like it. I really don't like it. But like I said, that's probably just a personal gripe that I have, and it may not be an important factor or a factor that other people would consider as a flaw. Another kind of unique issue to me is, which I don't love, is that the products are not readily available to me, especially locally. So I have to import everything from Traveler's Company to South Africa, which not only is expensive, and unfortunately I'm not made of money, but it also means I'm not able to get a lot of the items, especially when they just release things. Just the cost factor to me is something I don't love. I mean, I'm happy with investing and spending money on these brands because I do enjoy their products, but I also wish that it was just slightly more readily available so I didn't have to import everything. A solution to this would obviously just be use a different brand. I personally prefer Traveler's Company over the, I think it's called Faux Dories. I have one actually. Let me just get it. Okay, so I have this one. This is a Harry Potter, I don't know who it's by. It's a licensed Harry Potter, licensed by Eric. I'm not sure who Eric is. I guess I don't know who Eric is, but yeah. So this is just similar experience to the Traveler's Company, where you have this, it's not genuine leather. It is, I think, a PU leather. I'm not sure. So over time this will deteriorate and will not last very well. When you open it, yeah, you can see it's already, I think I've had this for 3 years now, and it looks really bad on the inside. I hope that's not mold. God, that would be awful. It does look like it may be mold. That's great. Yeah, so another thing with these books is, if I just move this, you have these elastics that are permanently in the book. Let me just move this one out of the way. Okay, so this has 2 elastics, which is great if you want to have 2 inserts in your book at any given time. But if you don't want 2 inserts, then you're just stuck with an extra elastic constantly in your book, which I don't like. I just prefer having the 1 elastic and then getting to choose if you want to add more to it. Yeah, I just feel like this will just get damaged over time. And also it has its own limitations in that it's also not a flat writing experience because of this closure. When you open your book flat, you will feel that as you write as well. So okay, so those are the actual notebooks and journals that I use. Now onto some of the stationery. I'll just put this back in here. For writing essentials, it has to be my TWSBI Eco. This is the white rose gold with a fine nib, and I don't write normally as you would at a 45-degree angle. I kind of turn my pen over and write, reverse write, and that's just because I prefer how thin the writing looks when I reverse write. This isn't a custom nib or anything, it's just exactly how I purchased it. But yeah, that I have it inked with, do I have it in here? Oh, this is diamine, some diamine brown ink. I think it's called chocolate brown, maybe, I'm not too sure, but I have a sample of that in here. And the only reason I have that is because, for some reason, the only reason I have that ink is because Kaweco changed the formula in the ink that they used to have, the caramel brown, and I don't like the new color, so I'm trying the diamine out just to see if I like that. But ultimately the pen is what, it doesn't matter what ink I use, I'm gonna be fine with it. I just use this as my pen. In terms of gel pens, I'll just put this here. In terms of gel pen, this is my go-to. It is the Pentel Energel 0.5 millimeter nib, needlepoint nib. Okay, next it will have to be my TS Techo bag. I absolutely love this thing so much. It is so convenient for me to just place everything I want in this bag, and I can just carry it around with me from either my desk or to my bed if I prefer to journal there. And I just absolutely love this bag so much. There are pockets, so you can keep some of your stationery bits in there, and there is another back pocket which I keep my pencil boards and other stickers. It also surprisingly can fit a lot in this little bag, and I know there are other brands like the Delphonics. They have their own range of carrying cases, but again, that is not local to me, so I'm going to have to import it, and I was purchasing from Hobonichi anyway, so this was just a little bit more cost effective for me. And I love it. I absolutely love it. This is made of a canvas material. It's much thicker. The weave is much thicker than the canvas that was used in the Paddington cover that I purchased. It's also fairly neutral, so you could customize this and add patches or pins to it. I haven't done that as yet, just because I haven't found the right, like, a patch that I would want to commit to using. And also the inside is lined with this polyester, so if I were to stick in any pins, it will puncture the fabric, and I just haven't come to terms with doing that as yet. So it still looks as when I purchased it, yeah, I absolutely love this. This loop is made out of cow leather, I think, and it's really sturdy, especially when you put a lot of items in here to carry around. I don't use this as much now because I have my cover, so it does take up a lot more space than it used to. So that's how it looks within, and it does have this little flap, so there's no zipper, there's just this flap that you put over your items, and that's how it would look closed as such. And nothing's ever fallen out. I mean, there is a bit of a gap on either side, but since using it for almost 2 years now, nothing has ever fallen out when I carry it around. Maybe if you were to topple it over, you could lose a few items, but I haven't experienced that as yet. Just absolutely love this. You could stuff a lot more things in here. I'm just gonna move my charms over. Like, you could stuff this in here as well and then cover it. Okay, I hope this, I can't really see what I'm doing, but I hope it looks, yeah, it does look kind of okay. So you could do that, and it does get quite chunky. It is very heavy, but you could do this. I don't tend to overstuff the bag just because I don't like it to look distorted, even though it most certainly can take on a larger capacity. For me, I just don't prefer doing that. So I'm just gonna remove my TN. And yeah, that's how I use it. It also can fit a week's book. Let me get a week's book. Okay, so this is my old week's book. I'm just going to, so both of these have cover on covers. Should I put it? I'll put it in the front. Okay, it is slightly snug, but it does fit. It would fit better without, if the book didn't have a cover on cover, but it does fit. So again, you just will have to be comfortable with stretching out the fabric and stuff. It's made to stretch and everything. I just, like I said, am weird and don't like to distort any of my items. So yeah. And obviously if your book didn't have a cover, and if you had those Midori clear covers that people put on their Hobonichi, then it absolutely would fit a lot more items. I've been able to fit in, I don't use the weeks anymore, but I've been able to fit in a thin A6 without a cover, my Traveler's Company notebook, as well as the Hobonichi A6 plain grid notebook, all in here, along with all my other stationery items, which I will show just now. So it does hold quite a lot of items, and I like how compact it is. I just absolutely love how compact it is, and I can carry a lot of things, so absolute win for me. The only thing I will say is pens don't really fit. I mean, you could put them in the front pocket, but I wouldn't exactly trust having my fountain pens in here. It just doesn't seem like it's not going to get clipped unless you clip it there. I guess that could work, but yeah, I don't do that. I normally put them down there with my book in the center. So keep in mind about pens. Next, I think the pencil boards. I use my pencil boards literally every single day. I am saving the Paddington one for next year, so that's why I'm just using the two that I already had. I don't use these as regular pencil boards how they are intended to be used. I'll show you. So for a pencil board, its function is to be placed under the page, and then you will basically write on top of it. I just don't like the feel of this underneath a single page. It's just a bit weird. It feels almost too hard. So I tend to, because the side of the book is so uneven with all the pasting in of pictures, I will take the pencil board and place them about 3 pages away, insert it, and then that's how I will write. You don't feel the hardness of the pencil board as much. Even though they feel hard on the paper, they are very thin and flimsy, but that's because it's meant to either hold your place in your book, so when you close your book it doesn't take up too much space. Like, you can barely see that the pencil board is in there. You will notice that it has a little flag up there to denote which page you're on. But how I use it is I will place it underneath my palm and then I will write. So for me, this is an essential, and that's also because the Sanson paper, for some reason, absorbs literally anything and everything that you put on here. It will just absorb it. So oils from your hand, if you spill something, it absorbs everything. And then you didn't have something on your page as you were writing, and the oils from your hand get onto the page. When you write over it, the page almost rejects the ink, and then you are left with weird spots on your paper. So the ink will appear normal and dark everywhere except those areas where, like, your hand oils or whatever got onto the page and then you wrote over it. It looks very ugly. I don't like it, so that's why I use my pencil boards. The essential for me is my Traveler's Company brass clip. This is very heavy. It is made of brass, so it will last a very long time, and it will patina over time as well. Or you could just shine it to remove any of the patina. So you could use this to weigh down the page. So like this, for example, it will weigh down the page if I need that. Or when you use your passport, when you open the book, so if I were to write on here, so this starts lifting, I could just clip it and then that weighs it down. That's basically the function of the clip, or you could use it to hold your notebook open. So let me take this out of the cover. I wanted to write on here, and it was a relatively thick book. I could hold it open like that. Let me get a thicker book actually. Okay, here, so I have a thicker book. I think there are blank pages in here. Okay, like this. So because it is thicker on one side and not on the other, I can flatten it out like this and then write. So that's the function of the brass clip, or what it could be used for. I mainly use it for when I'm reading. I'll use it to hold down the page, because holding a book open for extended periods of time can cramp your hand up. So I just clip this on one of the sides of the page of the book just to weigh it down, so I don't need to hold the book that much. Absolutely love this. It's expensive, but I will buy it again in a heartbeat. Next would be my tape runner. Just refill this. It's so convenient. I don't like glue sticks because they're sticky and glue gets everywhere, and I just absolutely hate glue. It's so messy. So roller tape that you can refill is another essential for me. My printer, because I do print out a lot of pictures. So do I have any here? I print out a lot of pictures, so I need my printer. I'm obviously not going to show you a printer, but that's an essential for me, as well as scissors to cut out anything, PET tape, stickers, whatever. I'll use scissors. Some honorable mentions that are not essentials but are things that I do use. So a pair of tweezers, just to get, like, if you're layering and you need to stick something underneath something, tweezers are just easy to get into little spaces. Highlighter, I use this to mark days where I take medication to relieve my back pain, so that's an essential for me. And then stickers, as well as clear stamps. I make a lot of my own stickers, so I like to use them. So yeah, that is basically all the essentials that I use on a relatively daily basis for my journaling. And so yeah, that's everything that I use on a daily basis for my journaling. These are products that I absolutely love and will purchase again if I ever need to. If I were to recommend products to anybody, I would recommend these ones. They're just made of good quality. I hope you found this video helpful, or if, like me, you just want to hear people talk about their stationery thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care. Bye.